Alright, so here's the deal. James Twengai, a 23-year-old from Taumarunui, stabbed a woman 18 times outside the local police station last year. That's not just shocking, it's terrifying. I mean 18 times. That's not just an attack, it's a full-blown assault that left someone critically injured and needing extensive surgery. Now this guy has admitted to the attempted murder and he's facing the consequences. But here's the twist. The court found him to be mentally impaired, but not unfit to stand trial, so he's still going to be on trial, even if there are questions about his mental state. And the victim, well, she's in a really bad way. The Crown solicitor said she required extensive surgery, and now the court is asking for more up-to-date medical information about her condition. It's a really heavy case and one that's got a lot of people talking. I mean, can you imagine being in that situation, being stabbed 18 times by someone you probably didn't even know? It's just brutal. And then there's the part about the restorative justice option. His lawyer is asking if the victim is willing to meet with him before sentencing. But even if she is, it's not guaranteed to work, the judge agreed. But it's still a big ask. And then there's the date, October the 21st, exactly a year after the attack, when he'll be sentenced. That's not just a coincidence, it's symbolic. It's like the court is saying, we remember this, we don't forget. So what does this all mean? Well, it's a case that's got a lot of layers: mental health, justice, victim, impact, and the legal system's role in all of this. It's a complex situation, and I think that's what makes it so important to talk about. Because it's not just about one person, it's about the system, the people involved, and the lasting impact on everyone. And that's why I'm bringing this up, because if we don't talk about it, we might miss the bigger picture. So, let's dive in and take a closer look at this case, because it's not just a news story. It's a story that could change lives, and that's the kind of story that deserves attention. Okay, let's get into it first. The facts: James Twengai stabbed a woman 18 times outside the Taumarunui police station on or about October the 21st last year. That's the date that's now going to be significant in the sentencing. The victim was left in a critical condition and required extensive surgery, according to Crown Solicitor Jacinta Hamilton. Now, that's a really serious injury. Stabbing someone 18 times is not just a crime, it's a crime of violence, of intent. And the fact that it happened outside a police station is even more shocking. It's not just a random act of violence, it's a direct attack on a place that's supposed to be a safe haven for people in need of help. But it's not just the victim's condition that's important here. It's also the fact that the court found James Twengai to be mentally impaired, but not unfit to stand trial. That raises a lot of questions. How can someone be mentally impaired but still be on trial? What does that mean for the legal process? And what does it mean for the victim? Because if the defendant is mentally impaired, that could affect the outcome of the trial. It could mean that he might not fully understand the proceedings, or that his defense might be different. But the court has determined that he's still fit to stand trial, which is a big decision. And then there's the part about the restorative justice option. His lawyer, Kerry Burrows, is asking if the victim is willing to meet with him before sentencing. Restorative justice is a concept where the victim and the offender have a chance to meet and discuss the impact of the crime. It's not about forgiveness, but about understanding and healing. But it's not guaranteed to work. And that's a big deal, because it's not just about the victim's willingness, it's also about the victim's safety and well-being. The court has agreed to refer the matter to restorative justice, but it's still a big ask. And then there's the part about the sentencing. The judge has ordered a pre-sentence report which will give more information about Twengai's background, his mental health, and the impact of the crime. It's a crucial part of the process, because it helps the court determine the appropriate sentence, and the fact that the sentencing is happening on October the 21st, exactly a year after the attack, is symbolic. It's a reminder that justice takes time, but it also shows that the court is not forgetting the victim or the crime. It's a way of saying, we remember this, we don't forget. And that's important because sometimes in cases like this, the victim's voice can be lost in the legal process. But the court is making sure that their voice is heard. And that's a good thing, but it's also a reminder of the trauma that the victim has experienced. Being stabbed 18 times is not just a physical injury, it's a psychological one as well. And that's something that the court has to take into account. So what does this all mean for the legal system? Well, it's a case that's highlighting the complexities of mental health in the justice system. It's showing that even if someone is mentally impaired, they can still be on trial. But it's also showing that the court is taking the victim's condition into account. It's a case that's getting a lot of attention, and for good reason, because it's not just about one person, it's about the system, the people involved, and the lasting impact on everyone. And that's why I think it's important to talk about, because if we don't talk about it, we might miss the bigger picture. So let's take a step back and look at the bigger picture. James Tuwangai is 23 years old. That's not old, but it's also not young. He's an adult, and he's made a choice that has had serious consequences. But the fact that he's mentally impaired raises questions about his state of mind at the time of the attack. Was he in a mental state where he could understand what he was doing, or was he acting on impulse? These are all questions that the legal system has to consider. And that's part of the process. It's not just about punishment, it's about understanding the person behind the crime, but it's also about justice for the victim. Because no matter how impaired someone is, the victim still has to deal with the consequences of the attack, and that's where restorative justice comes in. It's not a perfect solution, but it's a step in the right direction, and that's what the court is trying to do. It's trying to balance the needs of the victim with the needs of the defendant, and that's a tough balance to strike, but it's an important one. Because if we don't consider both sides, we might end up with a system that's not fair, and that's not what we want. So what's the takeaway from all of this? Well, it's that the legal system is complex, and it's not always easy to understand, but it's also important to remember that justice is about more than just punishment. It's about healing, about understanding, and about making sure that everyone is treated fairly. And that's what this case is showing us. It's showing us that even in the most difficult cases, there are opportunities for understanding and for justice. And that's something worth talking about, because it's not just a story. And that's the kind of story that deserves attention. So what do you think? Should we be focusing more on mental health in the legal system? Should we be considering restorative justice more often? Or is this just a case that's too extreme to be considered for those kinds of options? I think it's a case that's worth discussing, because it's not just about one person. It's about the system, the people involved, and the lasting impact on everyone. And that's why I'm bringing it up. Because if we don't talk about it, we might miss the bigger picture. So let's keep talking about it. Because it's important, and it's something that could lead to real change. So that's my take on the story. It's a complex case, but it's one that's worth discussing, because it's not just about one person, it's about the system, the people involved, and the lasting impact on everyone. And that's the kind of story that deserves attention. So let's keep talking about it, because it's important, and it's something that could lead to real change.